Frightened co-eds at Florida State University in Tallahassee walked to class in groups today while detectives tried to track a man who slipped into a sorority house early yesterday and murdered 2 women. David Dick reports.
The killer struck first at the Chi Omega sorority house. Police say he simply walked in through an unlocked door. They say he was armed with a heavy oak log. He clubbed and then strangled to death 20-year-old Lisa Levy and 21-year-old Margaret Bowman. At least one of them was raped. Then he brutally beat 3 more sleeping co-eds, Karen Chandler and Kathy Kleiner. Cheryl Ann Thomas was severely beaten in her apartment 6 blocks away. Their conditions today, fair to serious. The killer came in from the night and then returned to it with an ease that has so far baffled police and left most co-eds here terrified. Blood-stained bed sheets and numerous bags of other evidence were prepared at the Tallahassee Police Department for transfer to the crime lab. Sergeant Howard Winkler was one of the first on the scene.
When he hit the girls, I just don't think they had a chance to fight back. I think he just went in and hit them. I just don't think they had a chance to cry out.
Captain Burl Peacock of the Criminal Investigation Division says he thinks it will be a very difficult case to solve. What kind of a person do you think is at large?
Well, I'd rather say we've got a very disturbed, sick individual.
A university crime prevention officer visited Florida State sororities today, urging house mothers to take stricter security measures. But many co-eds remained worried and badly frightened.
I think everybody's scared all the time. Even just walking to classes. And today we've been keeping our doors locked during the day, too, which we don't usually do.
The front door of the Chi Omega house was not only locked today, a policeman stood guard on the other side. The house mother stepped out a few moments but would not talk in front of a camera. She said, "They were just lovely girls. It has been a harrowing experience." David Dick, CBS News, Tallahassee.
I can't remember what night of the week it was. Thursday night, I believe. I don't know. 11 to 12, probably closer to 12, on a warm Seattle May night. I mean, I think it was clear. Weather had been fairly good. I was moving up the alley using a briefcase and some crutches, and a young woman walked down. I saw her round the north end of the block into the alley and stop for a moment and then keep on walking down the alley toward me. And about halfway down the block, I encountered her and asked her to help me carry the briefcase, which she did, and we walked back up the alley. Across the street, turned right on the sidewalk and found, I think, the fraternity house on the corner there. Midway in the block, there used to be a parking lot there, dirt surface, no lights, and my car was parked there. Basically, when we reached the car, what happened was I knocked her unconscious with a crowbar.
Did she see it?
No. There were some handcuffs there, along with the crowbar, and I handcuffed her and put her in the passenger side of the car and drove away.
Was she alive or dead?
Oh no, she was unconscious, but she was very much alive. Took her out of the van and took the handcuffs off her. Maybe she'd regained consciousness at this time, basically. And, gee, this is probably the hardest part. I don't know. One of the things that makes it difficult is that at this point she was quite lucid, talking about things. It's odd, the kinds of things people say under those circumstances. She said that she thought that she had a Spanish test the next day, and she thought that I had taken her to help tutor me for a Spanish test. It's kind of odd thing to say.
Police arrested this 31-year-old man after a high-speed chase Wednesday morning in Pensacola, Florida. He claimed to be a Florida State University law student, but now he has been positively identified as prison escapee Theodore Bundy, a suspect in the rape-murder cases of at least 36 young women in California, Washington, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, and Michigan. He is also on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. This afternoon, Bundy was taken to court, where he was ordered held without bond.
Bundy, a former law student at the University of Utah, has already complained to the judge that his jail cell is not adequate for his legal research. The judge ordered the jail to change that. Inside the courtroom, the trial will be covered by a still photographer and one television camera. Upstairs, there are some 250 reporters and television technicians from around the country. They will be following the trial and making videotape recordings.
In Miami, the trial of Theodore Bundy for murdering two co-eds continued. Diane Wildman covered today's session.
The televised murder trial of 31-year-old Theodore Bundy started late this morning. Bundy had refused to show up on time, protesting conditions at the Dade County Jail. Earlier, Judge Edward Cowart learned that Bundy had broken a light bulb in his cell and stuffed paper in the lock. The angry judge held him in contempt of court.
Since I have been in Dade County, I have been allowed to...
Don't shake your finger at me, young man. Don't shake your finger at me, young man.
Bundy's jail cell behavior was in marked contrast to his calm courtroom demeanor. He is acting as his own lawyer in this trial, having once studied law at the University of Utah. He has also served as a social worker and political campaign chairman. This afternoon, a key prosecution witness, Nita Neary, told the jury she had seen a man resembling Bundy at the sorority house on the night of the murders.
What I noticed most with the profile was had a very prominent nose, a straight bridge that almost came to a point, not quite, very thin lips.
Bundy could receive the death penalty if found guilty. But if this jury decides he's innocent, he will still not go free. He is wanted for questioning in at least 36 other cases of rape and murder in 4 states. Diane Wildman, NBC News, Miami.
Your Honor, there's a lot of cases in that box, and they all deal with consent search issues.
Yes, sir. I'm sure that there's probably that many more that you've missed.
And I've missed quite a few. We're only dealing with a couple jurisdictions. As I said, I'm going to argue the law broadly because I haven't had an opportunity to complete my research on the status of Florida law, although I'm familiar with the parameters of the consent search issue as they exist here in Florida and those as outlined by the United States Supreme Court and other federal courts.
Well, we really basically set the stage. I'm sure you've read Bustamante.
Yes, sir.
Let's proceed with that, and we'll go from there. And you're not going to be far wrong from Florida law.
Occupation?
Deputy Sheriff, Salt Lake County.
How long?
About 14 years.
Directing your attention to August 16, 1975. On or about that day, did you have occasion to know when Theodore Robert Bundy?
Yes, sir.
Detective Thompson, you say you knew Theodore Robert Bundy on August 16, 1975?
Around that time I was acquainted with, yes, sir.
Around that time?
Yes.
On that date? You say for
I'm
sure?
not positive on the date.
Well, you give me the benefit of your best estimate as to when you first...
The first conversation that I had with you was August the 21st, outside the Salt Lake County Jail. That I'm positive of.
Let me ask you, if you recall this statement and this reply with Detective Bodiford. Detective Bodiford, do you think that you might be able to pick it out? Your reply was, I can't promise anything, but I... ... Do you recall that statement and reply?
No, I don't remember.
This statement by Detective Bodiford and this reply. Right, but so far the pictures you've seen, you haven't counted him at least? Yeah, but the one when we had his nose turned a little bit did the best for me, you know. Resembled more than any of the other ones. But the other ones were hard to tell because they had like 6 different pictures of him, all different, you know. Do you recall that discussion?
No.
The savage killing of 2 Florida State co-eds last year attracted national publicity. So did the arrest of the man charged with the killings. Today, over the strong objections of the defense, the court heard testimony the jury may never hear. Robin Lloyd of WTVJ Miami reports.
With the jury out of the courtroom, the state's star witness, Nita Neary, a former Florida State co-ed, said she caught a brief glimpse of a man wearing a ski cap running out the door of the Chi Omega sorority house with a club in his right hand. The state maintains that that man was the defendant, Theodore Bundy, who was charged with the brutal slaying of 2 Florida State co-eds and the beating of 3 others a year and a half ago. The prosecuting attorney led the questioning.
Do you remember the man that you saw standing at the door of the Chi Omega house? Do you?
Yes, I do.
Nita, do you see the man that you saw at the door of the Chi Omega house on January 15, 1978, in the courtroom today?
Yes, I believe I do.
Would you point him out, please?
At that moment, when Neary began to point at the defendant, the defense attorney objected. But moments later, Neary said she was sure that Bundy was the man.
I've had to go over this again and again and again in my mind, and I feel positive in my identification.
Right now, the defense attorneys have pointed out that there are slight changes in Neary's story, which they claim make her an unreliable witness. It will be up to Judge Edward Cowart to determine whether this evidence will be presented to the jury. Robin Lloyd for CBS News, Miami.
The scary thing is you have to have real empathy. Real, not phony. Not just calling the guy by his first name.
Have you ever physically harmed anyone?
Ever physically harmed anyone? No. No. You know, again, not in the context I think that you're speaking of.